What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to talk about how we're closer than ever to another stimulus check and what is preventing us from getting there. And could it be this week? But first, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check updates. My wife and I do hours of research for you guys every single day so we can bring you all the stimulus check and unemployment related news in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. Our average stats show that about 10% of people hit the like button for us on every single video. Let's see if we can hit 20% of people in this video. So hit the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. Also, our family is going to be giving $500 to some viewers. I will give you all the details about how that works at the end of this video. So we are closer to a second stimulus check than ever. And this headline here is so interesting because it's exactly how Washington politicians work. Only in Washington can politicians slowly make progress towards a stimulus deal while pounding the table and accusing the other side of being unreasonable. Yet even with negotiations over the next stimulus package at a standstill, the two sides moved $500 billion closer to a deal last week. Last week, negotiations restarted up for the first time in weeks for the second stimulus package, which will include at least a $1,200 check for individuals and also a check for all dependents, most likely this time around. It's something that both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, want. They both want $1,200 checks, and they also want checks for all dependents this time around. That's child dependents, people in college who likely didn't receive a check last time around, and adult dependents, people who are dependents on somebody's tax return, and that makes them an adult dependent. With negotiations between the Republicans and the Democrats having restarted, they bridged the gap between the two parties by $500 billion. That's a lot of money for them to bridge the gap, and they're pretty close. There only needs to be one or two things to happen for the next stimulus check to be agreed upon. The White House said they're willing to come up from about $1 trillion to $1.3 trillion, coming up $300 billion for the next stimulus package. And the Democrats came down by $200 billion, so they bridged the gap by $500 billion in as little as 48 hours. One of the few things holding us up is Nancy Pelosi digging in her heels, wanting more than $1.3 trillion for the next stimulus package, and also her dislike for Mark Meadows, one of the Republican negotiators. She's much more fond, should I say fond? Is Nancy Pelosi fond of anybody? She's much more fond of Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, the other Republican negotiator. As the parties scramble for an elusive deal on another round of virus relief, mistrust and bad blood between the two principal negotiators, Nancy Pelosi and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, have snarled the talks and complicated the path to a timely agreement. The tensions were on full display Thursday after a 25-minute phone call between the two power brokers, the first talks between the sides in roughly 3 weeks. The sharp back and forth was partly theatrics as the parties seek to energize their base of voters less than 10 weeks away from the high-stakes November 3rd elections. Mark Meadows, who is a former North Carolina congressman and House Freedom Caucus chairman, is well known for his clashes with leaders of his own party, triggering government shutdowns and even forcing a GOP speaker from Ohio into an early retirement. Very few Democrats dealt with him, a former Democratic leader aide said Friday in an email. They just saw him as a bomb thrower with no responsibility. That changed dramatically this year when Mark Meadows ascended to Chief of White House Staff and assumed a leading part in the negotiations over a fifth round of stimulus aid. Even in the new role, Mark Meadows' hardline approach to government spending has left lawmakers of both parties questioning his ability and his interest in cutting a multi-trillion-dollar deal. Going on to say that most Democratic members believe that Mark Meadows is the problem. We've also had hundreds of Democrats reach out publicly to urge Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the Democrats in the House, to pass more stimulus immediately and to just pass what they currently agree on between the Republicans and the Democrats. And what they currently agree on is another set of $1,200 checks to be sent out directly to Americans, and also checks to all dependents this time around. Both sides also agree on an unemployment extension, or a more permanent unemployment extension, likely to the end of the year. The president's presidential executive order temporarily extended that, but that money is likely to run out in a month because they're using the money from other funds like the disaster relief fund to pay for that current unemployment extension. So they need a more permanent extension to the end of the year passed through a stimulus package to be able to get that going to the end of the year. Now, they could come to an agreement this week by just a couple things happening. Number one, the Republicans and President Donald Trump of the White House could just concede and could just be willing to spend more money. If they did that, they would have a deal or an agreement almost immediately. Currently, the Democrats want about $2.2 trillion and the Republicans are at 1.3. If the Republicans came anywhere close to 2 trillion, say 1.8 or 2 trillion, the Democrats would come down at least a little bit and they would have an agreement probably within 24 hours. The more antsy the president grows, the closer we get to the election, the more likely that is to happen. All they need to do is say, okay, we'll spend more money. It's not like they're spending this money out of their own pockets. They just agree, and then the US government prints the money. They don't even print the money nowadays. It's all electronically done through a bank account. So they just add a one onto $1 trillion in a bank account owned by the government, and poof, that bank account goes from 3 trillion to 4 trillion, or from 10 trillion to 11 trillion. So all they need to do is just say, okay, we concede we're willing to spend extra money for the American people and for American businesses and the different programs that this money will go to. The closer we get to the election, the more likely that is to happen. The president knows he needs to pass another stimulus check before the election to have a higher chance of winning. Even if he thinks he's going to win now, passing another stimulus check and an unemployment extension will secure him more votes. There is millions of people that will be super grateful for getting checks out, and he will take the credit for doing that, and it will secure him more votes whether you like him or not if they can get this passed before the election. The other thing that could happen is they could try to pass a stimulus check through a presidential executive order. And the way they would do this is to take money from other funds, just like they did for the unemployment presidential executive order, and pass a stimulus check through that. Now, if they do that, it may need to be a smaller check, such as maybe $300 to $600. Remember when President Obama passed that $300 stimulus check many years ago? He may have to do a smaller stimulus check through a presidential executive order because of the limited amount of funds in other funds that they can shift money to funds like disaster relief fund and the US general fund. I'm not sure if they could do $1,200, but if they come to a stimulus package agreement through the negotiations, then they could do at least $1,200 or possibly even more. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. We're also seeing significant jumps from the virus, new cases per day across the world right now, and it's getting at least a little bit scary. We had the world's largest single-day jump in virus cases recorded in India. India recorded its highest single-day total of new virus cases on Sunday, with over 78,000 new cases in just one day. The new total gives the country more than 3.5 million new cases in the nation, which has reported more than 75,000 new cases 4 days in a row. We're also seeing a surge of new cases in Europe also, and several different parts of the world. The US is currently on a downtrend right now, seeing about 40,000 new cases every single day. We just crossed over 6 million confirmed cases in the United States in total, with about 3% of people who catch the virus not making it. When we had our downtrend in May here, we've seen a sudden spike upwards. So please continue to wear your mask, social distance, and don't think that this is out of sight, out of mind. Just continue to try to stay as safe as possible. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you haven't yet. And also, our family is going to be giving another set of money to viewers like you. We're going to be giving $50 to 10 different people for a total of $500 this time around. All you need to do is comment down below what your situation is, what you would use the money for, and your PayPal address. And we're going to have 10 different people randomly selected, and we're going to give them $50 each for a total of $500. So just comment your thoughts down below, and we will be picking people sometime this week. So make sure to stay tuned. And you can click on these videos to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.